Hello and welcome to Your Government in Action, a presentation of Bahamas Information Services. I'm Carissa Williamson. During the introduction to his 2024-2025 budget communication in the House of Assembly on May 29, 2024, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Philip Davis, KC, said that the budget reflected how far the government has come in ensuring that the Bahamas' fiscal house is in order while significantly surpassing international projection in under 3 years.
The 2024-2025 budget reflects just how far we have come in under 3 years in putting our country's fiscal house in order. In fact, as you will see, we have significantly surpassed international projections. I very much understand why the international projections were cautious. They were cautious because we faced, and in many ways continue to face, very serious challenges. But let me tell you something. It's never a good idea to underestimate Bahamians. When we came into office, the fiscal situation was bleak, with a deficit that was 13.1% of GDP. By the end of the last fiscal year, that deficit had been significantly reduced to 3.8% of GDP. And during this budget communication, I will announce a further reduction. But I don't want to wait to share the bottom line. What is the bottom line? In under 3 years, we have knocked $1 billion off our deficit. And what's important is that we pulled the country back from the brink of exercising fiscal discipline while still putting our compassion for the Bahamian people at the heart of our policies. We could not do otherwise. When we came into office, Bahamians were suffering terribly. Far too many were out of work and in despair. The unemployment rate at that time was 17.6%. We moved fast. We opened up the economy. We partnered with the private sector. We encouraged innovation and new investment in tourism and other sectors. And we worked hard to promote our little special country. The employment rate is now the lowest it's been since 2008 at 8.8%. Another key fiscal measure, the debt to GDP ratio, shows how dire the situation was in 2021. In June of that year, the debt to GDP was 100.4%. Wow. 100.4%. That means that the size of our debt was the same size, even a little bigger, than the size of our economy. Once this happens to a country, a cascade of negative consequences can gain momentum, leading to a very grim outcome. We took action to prevent those worst-case scenarios, and the latest debt statistics reflect a debt-to-GDP ratio of 79.9%, a significant achievement. We know we still have a lot of work ahead of us, but we have come a long way, and our country is finally headed in the right direction. Madam Speaker, shortly, I will lay out in detail information about our country's current fiscal picture and the outlook for the year to come. It will rain. I will begin with a look at the international and domestic microeconomic conditions, and then turn to our 9-month fiscal performance for the year 2023-2024, our financing activities, and our medium-term debt management strategy. I will then review our nation's credit ratings, our removal from the EU blacklisting, and our new Go Bond Fire e-procurement platform before providing key highlights from our 2024 fiscal strategy report and estimates for revenues and expenditures in the financial year 2024-2025, as well as describing some key revenue and expenditure measures. But first, I want to reiterate the values and the vision behind the policy decisions we have made. We have big ambitions for our country and for the Bahamian people. We are working hard to bring down the cost of living for Bahamians, to create safer communities, to support our entrepreneurs, to strengthen our borders, and to build a more inclusive economy. We are also determined to expand opportunities across our beautiful islands, throughout our archipelago. It's the first time the Bahamas has a prime minister and a deputy prime minister representing family islands. We are making the most of it, aren't we? Our core policies, including our initiatives promoting progress for our family islands, were articulated in our blueprint for change and were reflected in previous budgets, which are focused on national, economic, and personal security. These goals and policies will be further developed and expanded in the new fiscal year. Madam Speaker, we came into office with the country teetering on the brink of fiscal and economic catastrophes. Tens of thousands of Bahamians hadn't worked in months. Our children had missed more than a year of learning in their classrooms with their teachers and friends. We ended the curfew, the lockdowns, the travel visas, and the emergency orders. We opened up faster and better than competing destinations. And we did it safely by providing the free testing and the free mask, which we had said from the start were a much saner and more humane policy than lockdowns. And we did it by treating nurses and doctors as partners, not adversaries. The rapid transition from one reality to another underscored that values matter. Policy choices matter. But as I said a moment ago, while it is so important to finally be moving in the right direction, there is so much more work to do. Our country's economic recovery hasn't reached everyone yet. I know a lot of Bahamians are still hurting, and the worst global inflation crisis in decades is really hitting our families hard. That's why it is so important to build an economy with more opportunities for Bahamian advancement and ownership. Recovery was never a good enough goal. Recovery was never a good enough goal. Instead, recovery must be a stepping stone to a new era in the Bahamas. It's time for our country to take big steps forward in solving the challenges that have held us back for too long. You've heard us say it before. We didn't come here to defend the status quo. We came here to change it, because changing the status quo is the best way to change lives. Changing the status quo means challenging the systems, practices, and powers that be if they aren't serving the people well, and innovating and building something better. We are challenging the status quo in our energy sector. We just passed 2 new comprehensive pieces of legislation that provide the framework for the first serious energy reforms in the Bahamas in decades. We did not need additional evidence that our outdated electricity infrastructure is falling apart, but unfortunately, there's been plenty evidence of that recently. Let's check what happened last night in the East, decaying transfership
Yep.
just fell apart.
Yep.
Nothing could be clearer. Temporary patches and band-aids aren't sufficient. Despite the enormous scale of the challenge, with BPL, more than $500 million in debt, we are finalizing comprehensive energy reforms, which will upgrade and modernize our failing grid, bring solar on board in a big way, pull down sky-high costs, and increase reliability.
Got to be done.
We are also challenging the status quo in healthcare, building not just one new hospital, but two, one in New Providence and one in Grand Bahama. Even as we are renovating clinics and procuring ambulance for our family islands and making long overdue investment in mental health care. We are challenging the status quo in Grand Bahama, where the Port Authority has been earning private profits at the public's expense while failing to live up to their responsibility to develop Freeport. It's time, long past time, for change in Grand Bahama. The people of Grand Bahama deserve a credible partner with a vision for progress and shared prosperity. We are challenging the Nassau-centric status quo by recognizing that the people and potential of the family islands have long been overlooked and underestimated. That's why solar energy, new investments, and infrastructure improvements are in motion across our archipelago. We are challenging the status quo in labor relations. We signed 27 labor agreements in 30 months, after none had been signed in the previous 4 years.
Zero.
Because Bahamian workers, and we appreciate this, that Bahamian workers deserve dignity and security.
Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. the Honorable Michael Darville, led a delegation to Geneva, Switzerland to attend the 77th World Health Assembly. Minister Darville brought remarks in the opening plenary session on May 28, 2024.
The Bahamas is a small island development state made up of 700 islands and keys, spanning 100,000 square miles of pristine ocean from the coast of Florida to the island of Hispaniola and Cuba. Our population is dispersed over more than 30 islands, which present significant challenges for us regarding accessibility and health equity. Despite this reality, we are doing our utmost to ensure that our citizens have full access to essential healthcare services they truly deserve. Since the 76th Assembly, we have made significant progress in addressing the devastation left behind by the Category 5 Hurricane Dorian and the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, but much work remains to be done. The mental, social, and economic fallout left in the wake of these devastating national disasters reinforce my country's commitment to WHO's agenda to promote economic recovery and revitalize healthcare delivery systems through universal healthcare coverage. Our journey towards universal healthcare coverage began a decade ago with the launch of universal primary healthcare coverage, and I am pleased to report that we are well on our way for meeting WHO's goal for universal health coverage before 2030 by way of national health insurance. Mr. President, the last 2 years we have completed major infrastructural upgrades to our clinics and hospitals. To prepare for possible future pandemics, we have begun construction of climate-resilient hospitals and training for our healthcare workers. We are also modernizing our existing healthcare legislation and recently enacted new progressive mental health legislation aimed at modernizing healthcare protocols, improving access to quality psychological and psychiatric services while protecting the constitutional rights of patients suffering from mental health challenges. Mr. President, given the high socioeconomic costs associated with NCDs, we have launched a wellness unit and implemented a number of physical and nutritional programs that we expect will have us better health outcomes across the country. Finally, while we strive to improve and upgrade our health delivery systems, we remain very vulnerable to destruction brought on by climate change, which places us in a repetitive pattern of borrowing to repair and rebuild our healthcare infrastructure after each hurricane. Reducing carbon footprints is therefore critical for healthcare delivery in small island developing states like ours.
Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Philip Davis, KC, and Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, the Honorable I. Chester Cooper, and the parliamentary team visited Rocksound, Eleuthera on May 30th, 2024 for the opening ceremony for Disney Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. The 900-acre property is expecting guests as soon as June of this year. The Ministry of Finance, in conjunction with the Project Execution Unit and the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute, launched a renewable energy installation and maintenance program at the school's New Providence campus on May 27, 2024. Approximately 30 students are enrolled in the first cohort of this program.
We at the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute are elated that we have been able to partner with the Ministry of Finance Office of the Prime Minister to really pull this off. Our new strategic plan talks about charting the way to success. And this is a prime example of BTVI doing just that. We are delighted to have provided the facilities in which this would happen, embryonic though they may be. And we envision, as we map out our new master campus here at BTVI main campus, we will use this as a kind of nucleus to really ingrain the pillar of renewable energies. And so on behalf of my chairman, the board of directors, VP Baisden, who has been the driving force, ensuring that the 8 instructors have stayed on course, partners out of Canada, Nova Scotia Community College, who has stood with us throughout. We are pleased and delighted to officially launch this 3-course sequence of 120 hours all told.
This program is designed to give all of the students a very strong background in terms of solar energy. First of all, it's going to start off with a safety component, which is vital. At the end of the day, solar energy, once converted, produces electricity. So safety is very vital, and not only in terms from an electrical perspective, but also when we look at roof safety in terms of working on top of the roof or working on ladders. So that's going to be a key component. In terms of the design, they're going to learn about the different type of components that are involved, not just in terms of the solar panels, but in terms of the inverters, the combiner boxes, the full gamut. They're going to learn the names of the various pieces of equipment, the rails, how they are properly installed. And beyond the theoretical aspect, they would also be trained from a practical perspective in terms of being able to install. So they're going to get a very good, strong foundation as relates to solar installation, maintenance, design, as well as supply chain. One of the things they would be looking into, what products are used mostly here in the Bahamas? You know, what are the lead time in terms of getting parts and components should it be necessary? What about costing and design? What all goes into that? So they're going to get a very good, strong foundation. We're delighted that we have a diversified group. Some persons with an electrical background, some with absolutely no background at all. But at the end of the day, they still have an opportunity to be able to learn and be successful in this program, such that we would now have greater capacity of solar installers and designers here in the Bahamas. One of the things that some of you may not be aware of, is there have been instances where persons, who call themselves solar installers, have installed systems, and unfortunately, other persons had to go behind and clean it up simply because persons were not properly trained. And this program is designed to eliminate that. We want all persons who put in solar systems to actually have a good experience, not a negative experience. And so this is designed to give them the proper training in terms of not only what to do and how to do it, but for them eventually to be able to do it. And we also hope that many of them would pursue a NAPCEP certification, which is in fact an international certification for solar energy.
More of Your Government in Action when we return. Welcome back. The Ministry of Finance continues its initiative to reconstruct and revitalize the energy sector in the Bahamas. With a collaboration with Anno Technologies, rooftop solar photovoltaic systems were installed at the University of the Bahamas on May 27, 2024.
It's a joy to see the government undertaking the initiatives that they have to provide solar voltaic renewable energy to the University of the Bahamas. When we are able to look at the various infrastructure and realize that we need to reduce our carbon footprint, we need to ensure that our reduction on fossil fuel is as low as possible, and these are the way that we do it. We do it through renewable energy, solar PV systems, wind energy, wave energy, and the various renewable energies infrastructure that is coming on stream within the 21st century. Okay, so what we are installing is a 291 kilowatt system, which will be inclusive of about a little over 650 solar panels rooftop solar panels on the University of the Bahamas. The end game is a reduction in the carbon footprint of the university, and also the reduction of their utility bills, being more green, being more energy responsible, being less reliant on fossil fuel. That's the gains, that's the aim. And again, I commend the government for the job that they're doing in providing the resources and the funding to be able to help us to move towards a more greener, renewable future. The most challenging part is from a safety perspective. Obviously, working in the sun, it's hot, you have heat exhaustion, so we have to make sure that our guys stay hydrated, take regular breaks, because sometimes, especially around this time of year, it gets pretty hot. Taking regular breaks, watching out for heat exhaustion, ensuring that everyone stays hydrated, that is probably the most challenging aspect of this job. The second aspect, challenging, is just working with the weather. Over the last few days, we've had a few thunderstorms, so ensuring that we are waiting for the roof to dry, we're not putting our guys at risk or in the line of fire, and ensuring that we are safety conscious every aspect and every walk of the way.
I'm going to start by saying, in case you don't know, this is the University of the Bahamas Jubilee. We celebrate 50 years of building a nation through education, research, and service. And I think you're going to see this is an example of something that can be done, that's being done here, and it's being done in partnership with the Ministry of Finance, with the private sector, and it's part of what UB stands for. We can serve our mission when we have strong relationships with our partners. We're very grateful to the Ministry of Finance, who selected us to be part of this initial project. And I'm going to support our project manager, Mr. LaRota, in saying that we hope that this is the first of many such roofs in our campus, because we have, as you know, nearly 5,000 students here on this campus. And we have a need for all kinds of energy to power up our smart boards in our classrooms, to keep us cool when it gets a little warm, to actually support our Wi-Fi, our networks, and we're very excited to see if we can do that in a way that also represents an effort in increasing sustainability. And as you know, sustainability is a very big issue for a small island developing state as we are, and we're very excited to be part of this project. And as I say, I hope we'll see many, many, many more of these panels going up across our campus.
The 2024 hurricane season began on June 1st, and in an address on June 1st, 2024, Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibilities for disaster risk management, the Honorable Leon Lundy, reminded the nation to get storm ready.
Today marks the official start of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. Global experts are predicting their highest forecasted numbers ever, with overall seasonal activity rivaling record seasons like 2004, 2005, 2010, and 2017. Collectively, those years produced many destructive storms. Storms like Francis, Katrina, Wilma, and Irma. Many of us know firsthand the devastation those storms produced. But when compared to what has been predicted this season, those years pale in comparison. And then, in 2019, there was Hurricane Dorian, the ultimate reality check for our country. We learned some hard lessons from Dorian, but we used those insights to strengthen our approach to disaster management. We passed the Disaster Risk Management Act in 2022, and I was pleased to oversee its enforcement on April the 15th, 2024. The government is ready. We've been working tirelessly to strengthen our disaster preparedness and response capabilities. A large part of that work involved merging NEMA and DRA to form the new Disaster Risk Management Authority. This new authority represents a shift in our approach to disaster management in our country, a shift in which we place more emphasis on preparing for and reducing the impact of disasters on our country and communities, while strengthening our ability to respond and recover from disasters. The DRM Authority stands ready to serve you. So, my message to you today is, don't wait. Get storm ready. Take the necessary steps to prepare and protect your home, your family, and your business. Whatever you value, take steps to secure it. Don't wait. Get your supplies. Don't wait. Get your canned goods. Don't wait. Get your shutters or plywood. Don't wait. Get your prescriptions. Don't wait. Get storm ready. The DRM Authority will share more information and resources in the coming days and weeks to help you and your family get storm ready. I ask you to stay tuned, stay connected, and stay alert. And may God continue to bless and protect our beautiful nation and our great people.
I'm Carissa Williamson, and this has been Your Government in Action, a proud presentation of Bahamas Information Services. Join us on Tuesday evenings where we bring you highlights, coverage, and information as we continue to do what we do best, linking people and government.